What's up, everybody? I thought we'd switch things up this week and talk about permissions. Obviously, permissions are very important to metal detectorists. Somebody's got a sweet piece of land you want to get your coil over, but you got to go through the homeowner to do it. So, we'll take a look at some of the techniques and some of the tools that you can use to help get you on that property. Let's get it started. Alright, first of all, this video is not going to be for everybody. Obviously, some of you guys out there are great at permissions, you know how to go about it, you know what you need. This video is geared more towards folks that are getting started and not sure which direction to go with permissions and what will help them. I feel that in certain parts of the country, it is easier to get permissions than in other areas. I notice out in the Midwest, like Ohio, folks seem to be about as friendly as dogs underneath the dinner table, and I know there's guys that are good at getting permission from them. Guys like Deep Digger Duo, Don and Alec, they'll canvass an entire neighborhood and seem to get permissions pretty much everywhere. We're out here in New England, maybe people are a little more on the cranky Yankee side, and you need a little something extra to gain their trust, to get on top of their land. So, let's take a look at the first item, and I feel it's one of the most important ones. Alright, and here it is, what I feel is the most important tool for metal detectorists. If you're going to take any advice in this video, hobby cards. Nothing more than business cards. You can get these from Vistaprint, box of 500 or whatever for about 20-25 bucks. It's your foot in the door. If you're going to bother going up to somebody's house and knocking, leave one of these behind. They're also great for leaving around town. If you got a cork board at the post office or the grocery store or general store or wherever you live, hang them up there. And I keep some good information on here. You're trying to get the trust of somebody who doesn't know you from Jack. You're off the street, and this is a good link to help them feel a little more comfortable with you. What I put on my cards is my name at the top, identify myself as a metal detecting hobbyist, and right below that, lost valuables and rings found free of charge. So if you've got your card hanging up somewhere, somebody will see that and go, hey, I'll give him a call. And that's part of the information I have on here, is my telephone number, my email address, and I'll put my home address on there as well. Like I said, you're trying to get the trust of somebody who doesn't know you, and this is a good link to it. And at the bottom I got some cute little slogan, some little catchy phrase that says, discovering the history beneath our feet. On the back, since mine are two-sided, just a few things. Modern detectors are highly accurate targeting, and therefore minimally invasive when digging. The utmost of care is taken with your property. Let them know that their property counts more than what you're after. Very important tool, and like I said, if there's anything you take away from this video, get these done. So there's no real tool involved in this, it's all technique for this part. You knock on the door, the owner answers, and I like to do this, no hat on, no glasses, make good eye contact, be friendly, introduce yourself, hand them your card, and then go about telling them a little bit about the hobby and what you're into. Up here in New England, we're after relics. So I explained to them that this home used to be in a colonial site. There's a lot of relics. And then I explained to them about how the detector works, how I pinpoint. And then this is something you need to be very specific on, because I've seen on Facebook where a lot of people will start digging in the yard, and all of a sudden the homeowner's out there freaking out about you digging holes in their yard. I'm very concise on what I do for digging, and if you have to, you can even show them your hand digger, just to get them a little more comfortable with what you're going to do in the yard. And I let them know that I'm cutting out roughly an 8-inch wide hole. I'm going to leave a little bit attached for a hinge, tip it back, have a hand pinpointer. I go in there. If I have to dig more dirt, I'll lay out a drop cloth. I can put the dirt on that, get my fine, put the dirt back in the hole, tip the plug back in, and then pack it down nice and neat around the edges so that you can't even see I was there. And that works wonders for getting them to understand why you're really on their property, and let them know that their property, like I said, is more important than your fines. So once I've talked to the property owner about how I go about digging, what I like to tell them next is what I'm after. And since I'm here in New England, obviously, relics. And I bring along a little tin that's got a nice little sampler of everything in there. I keep, buckle fragments. I have a thimble in here. I keep a variety of buttons. I got a couple coins. I got a matron head. I got a King George II. That way they can see what I'm after, and I let them know that I'm not here to monetize off of their property. And it's true. I take all my finds home, I clean them, I display them in my home, and that's it. And you let them know that as well. You're making more connections with the property owner so that they're going to be more comfortable with you being on their property. And make sure and ask the homeowner if they have any questions or concerns with what you just explained to them. If you've done your job properly, they probably won't have many, or maybe they'll have one or two. I also like to offer to show these folks everything I dug. That way they don't think that you're just digging in their yard, you took off, and who knows, maybe you found a gold or silver hoard. Especially if a house is old, if you got a colonial home that's 200, 250 years old or so. I know a lot of folks that'll put together a little Riker case with some of the finds and give it to the homeowner to display in their home as just a thanks for allowing you on their property. And that's a very good idea, especially if these folks have more than one piece of land that you want to get on. What I'm not kind of keen with, and I see this on Facebook too, is where somebody gets permission and the homeowner follows you around and grabs everything you're digging. I don't mind sharing my finds with the property owner, but I'm not there to clean up somebody's yard and watch them pocket everything I dug. I have no idea what they're going to do with it. I know what I'm going to do with it. I'm going to put it in a 2-inch custom display case and display it in my home. It'll wind up in their junk drawer for all I know. So that's kind of something you have to handle on your own, though. Every situation's unique, every person's unique, and it's something that you'll have to practice with. And I know guys have certain ways of handling that. So let's take a look at what I have up next. So once you ask the homeowner if they have any questions or concerns, one of those concerns could be, well, what happens if you get injured metal detecting on my property? And there's a chance you can even be turned down outright for that reason. One of the things you can have with you that can help in this case is a permission form and a waiver. And basically, all you do is you fill it out. It's got their name, their address that you're going to be detecting on. You include your name, your address, and your information. Date at the top, and there's a section in there as well as how long you can detect on the property, either for only the day that's this document signed, for a period of time that you can indicate as well, or indefinitely until the permission is revoked by writing from the property owner. And there's a couple paragraphs that include basically what we've talked about earlier as far as what you're doing on their property, how you're going about it, and since technically it's their property and they own whatever you're digging, that you acknowledge this as well, that anything found, dug up, is turned over to the property owner for examination, and determination after that is up to them. Below that is a statement that says that in consideration for detecting on the property, you agree not to take any legal action against them should you get injured detecting on their property. And I should hope that nobody here is dumb enough to get injured metal detecting on a lawn. So at the bottom, I've also got a little piece where you can include more than one party. If you've got a few friends in a big field that you want to detect on, and they want this, you can fill in their names as well. And then finally, signature of the property owner and your signature and date on the bottom that you both agree to this form. Done. So let's take a look at my final piece of the metal detecting tools, and that'll help possibly get you on some properties. So here's my final piece of permission gear, and this one's a bit of an oddity. In episode 17, where you saw me do the bottle dig, I'm at a huge park that I've got solo permission to detect on. It's over 200 acres, and I had to actually meet with the park director, sit down with him, and do basically what I've shown you in this video. He gave me sole permission to detect the park under one stipulation, and that's that I had 2 coroplast signs made up. And coroplast is nothing more than corrugated plastic, much like corrugated cardboard. And I was to have both of these signs around me at all times so that people in the park would understand that I am there at their permission and wouldn't think that they're allowed to metal detect the park, which they're not, since it's a privately owned park. It cost me probably 30 bucks a sign, but it's money well invested. And this is something I also used for episode number 44, the Foggy Field, where you saw a bunch of us out there in that privately owned hayfield. Now, the people who own that hayfield own 3 other properties, and they're far away from the house. They're a few towns over. And this is one of the things I told them I would do as well, as when we were out there detecting, anybody who drives by and sees us out there metal detecting thinks, hey, I'm going to pull over there and detect, which they can't. So these signs were out at the street at all time, letting anybody know going by that we were there by the owner's permission. And this is an unusual one, but it's a tool that I included. It's nothing that I'm going to use very often unless I'm up at my park, or in cases like that where a property owner has remote property, and it's just another piece of security that'll get you on these properties. So one other thing I did forget to mention is, if you do have a property owner who has a lot of different fields, away from the house, and you do have permission to detect them anytime you want, offer to give them a phone call if they want to know when you're going to be on that property in advance. That way it's something that's part of that whole trust thing between you and them. Most of the time I'm guessing they won't really care, especially if it's like a hayfield or something, but it never hurts to ask. That's all I got, guys. Thanks for watching this one. I hope everybody learned a little something. It's stuff I've learned since getting into detecting maybe 2.5 years ago. If I missed anything, if there's any questions, suggestions, or anything like that, put them down in the comments and we'll talk about it. See you guys in a couple weeks.